What is up, everybody? My name is Adam. Welcome to this very special edition of the Sizzlin NFL DFS podcast. This is a special edition for the Week 3 waivers. I wanted to do this podcast as kind of like an emergency podcast type deal. I'm hanging out with Bill Belichick's dog here in the background. This is a great picture. If you ever go back and watch the 2020 NFL draft, this was the round 2 pick. So I figured it'd be a good background. We're going to be hunting for the best waiver wire ads for this week. Look, this is of no surprise to anybody. There have been a lot of injuries. J.K. Dobbins, season ender. Aaron Rodgers, season ender. Unfortunately, Nick Chubb last night out for the season with what looked like a gruesome, devastating knee injury. I hope he comes back and play football, but my goodness, health first, dude. He's done for the year. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the safety, I believe that's his name, from Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I know his last name is Gardner-Johnson. Safety from Detroit, out for the season. Shaq Thompson from Carolina, out for the season. So there are a lot of players that unfortunately are getting injuries. We have the Austin Eckler injury. We have, that's undetermined. Jonathan Taylor's still holding out, or excuse me, he's injured. He's not holding out, but I think he's holding out. He wants to get traded. We saw Cam Akers randomly sit. There is a lot to go over. There is a lot to talk about. So what I'm going to be using is Yahoo Fantasy Football, because it's the only one that actually I could realistically do that made sense. I tried finding ESPN's. I didn't want to go off their article. Sleepers is good, but I couldn't get rid of the league chat. So we're going to use Yahoo today until I can find something better. We're going to take a look at the fantasy transaction trends that we are seeing. All right, so the trends this season, and this is for just in one of the leagues that I'm in. All right, so I've enlarged the screen so it's easier for you all to see. I'm going to kick back here. We're going to go through things. I am going to say this. All right, I'm going to switch this to all players. If you have Nick Chubb, drop him. All right. If you have Nick Chubb, drop him. Plain and simple. Again, this is out of one of my Yahoo leagues, so you can ignore the rosters. Nick Chubb, drop. If you still somehow have him or Dobbins or Rodgers, drop them. They're done for the season. Just get them off your roster. We're going to go position by position. We're going to start with the quarterbacks. And I'm actually going to switch here to available players in this league. Look, here's the deal. We take a quick look at all the players. If somehow, like the quarterbacks is not a major one to add this week. If somehow Daniel Jones is still out there, he's worth an ad. I doubt he's still out there. If somehow Anthony Richardson gets dropped, you go pick him up. Okay, we've seen enough out of his legs to be able to utilize that he has fantasy value. He's not a priority for me. Baker Mayfield, what we've seen from him over the last couple of weeks, actually, isn't half bad. He's gotten over 20 Yahoo fantasy points in every league, or in every week so far. And against Chicago, this has been really pretty impressive. And he's rushed. Not for a lot, but he's rushed. So 34 pass attempts in each game. This is something to be keeping an eye out on. Oh, boy. I mean, quarterbacks, if you want to take a shot on like a Sam Howell, he's fine too. I was high on him coming into the season. Jordan Love, go at him. But realistically, there's not a lot of quarterbacks here that are going to stand out. If you want to take a shot on Matthew Stafford, you're more than welcome to. I don't see the need to do it. So that's that. Let's head over to running backs, and let's just get this out of the way with Nick Chubb out from, he's out for the season. Everyone is going to rush to go get Jerome Ford, and rightly so. You also should be rushing to get Kareem Hunt. I think Jerome Ford is really good. He showed it last night. When it comes to this Cleveland team, this team is built to run the ball. I personally think you can let Watson cook for what it's worth, but that's besides the point. Kareem Hunt, as of today, is visiting the Browns. Jerome Ford will be the main running back. You want to prioritize adding Jerome Ford. He's only rostered in 19% of Yahoo leagues. Go add Jerome Ford. All right, go add Jerome Ford. You know you want to. Just go do it. Kyren Williams. Rostered in 64% of leagues. This is one where if you were around for lock or right before lock this past Sunday when Cam Akers was announced, he's out. I wasn't rushing at him. I didn't know what this team would do. This team still looks very different with no Cooper Kupp. Go add Kyren Williams. Your two biggest waiver wire ads this week are Kyren Williams and Jerome Ford. If you're in fab leagues, Kyren Williams is the priority. I still think Jerome Ford's good, but now with the news that Kareem Hunt's going to go visit, Kyren Williams is the main back. They liked him last year. This team drafted him. Kyren Williams is going to be the main running back. But again, rostered in over 64% of Yahoo leagues. If he's available in your league, you go get him. Jerome Ford, you prioritize next. Prioritize him however you want. Okay, Jerome Ford has that backfield all to himself. Kyren Williams has some other competition, but he's the main guy. Cooper Kupp still has to come back to that team. But Kyren Williams is really talented. Now, some of the biggest drops of the week, we're already seeing it here, is Kelly and Josh Kelly and Akers. Listen, I have said this before, and I'm going to start yelling it from the freaking rooftops. This podcast was specific to DFS. Week 1, it was, we're going to play Jamal Williams in cash. I'm like, why? We're going to play him as a block because he'll be 90% owned. I don't care. Why are you playing Jamal Williams against the Titans? Let me hold my microphone here. All right? Let me see if I can make this clear for all of you out there. We don't play running backs against the Titans. Week 2, no Austin Eckler. Everyone rushes to pick up Josh Kelly. Fine. We don't know when Austin Eckler's coming back. Once again, we're going to play Josh Kelly. People are going to play Josh Kelly. Rule again. We don't play running backs against the Titans. Stop doing it. Please. Especially, but volume is king. We don't play running backs against the Titans. End of story. We also don't play running backs against the Bucs, but they're still a top 3 run defense in my opinion. But the Titans' run defense right now is just on another level. So your main 2 running back ads this week are Kyren Williams and Jerome Ford. I would then go ahead and prioritize adding in a guy like Kareem Hunt if you can't get Jerome Ford. If Kareem Hunt signs with the Cleveland Browns, then that is going to be something that all of you are going to want to keep in mind. Because Hunt knows this offense, was in this offense a lot longer than Jerome Ford was, or Jerome Ford has been. Kareem Hunt's only rostered in 14% of Yahoo leagues. You go and add Kareem Hunt if he's available. This league, he's not available. So that is that being said. Josh Kelly, if you want to add him, I got no problem with that. Cam Akers, if someone drops him, you go add him. The rumor is he'll be traded anyway. And I'm going to say this right away, so I hope you all are out there listening. If one of these 3 running backs, especially the last one that I'm going to talk about, are somehow still available in your leagues, and you don't need an immediate running back starter in Kyren Williams or Jerome Ford. If Zach Charbonnet, Tank Bigsby, and Tajay bleeping Spears, okay? If Tajay Spears is still in your league, as on your waiver wire, he should be rostered in 100% of leagues unless it's like an 8-person league. I own Tajay Spears everywhere. He was not getting out of my grasp. At least I think I have him everywhere. Zach Charbonnet, back up to Kenneth Walker. If something happens to Kenneth Walker, he may not be getting that job back. Zach Charbonnet is that talented. Tank Bigsby. Doug Peterson already said they wanted to work him in to have a split backfield by the end of the season. Something happens to ETN, Bigsby's going to crush. But the biggest handcuff, the biggest sleeper for running backs this season in fantasy football is Tajay Spears. If Tajay Spears is on your waiver wire and you have a roster spot to burn, stash Tajay Spears. All right, and now with that being said, other running backs we can add. You can go ahead and add a Kenneth Gainwell if he's still somehow available. Again, if someone dropped Cam Akers, I would, save a roster spot for him. Roshan Johnson is continuing to get work. Rostered in 38% of Yahoo leagues. So we just take a look at last week, right? Had 4 attempts for 32 yards, 2 targets, 2 receptions. Again, that's the Tampa Bay defense for you. Green Bay, 5 attempts for 20 yards on a touchdown, 7 targets for 6 receptions and 35 yards. Roshan Johnson played at Texas behind Bijan Robinson. Keep that in mind. Roshan Johnson's worth a speculative ad. Now look, everyone's going to go, but what about Barkley, Adam? Yeah, Barkley got injured. Yeah, and there's a possibility he plays, which is really weird. So there's a possibility he plays Thursday night, which would be really insane. Matt Breida would be the ad for the Giants. And not a priority for me. Breida's a good running back, but not a priority. If you in a deep league and can afford it, great. Zach Moss, if he's still somehow available. He, for me, is behind, obviously behind the big two. I'd put him slightly ahead of Hunt, but I give the edge to Hunt. Zach Moss, we saw come out and absolutely destroy in week 2. Jonathan Taylor's eligible to come back in week, he's eligible to come back in week 5. Because Zach Moss is eligible to come back in week 5, Jonathan Taylor's eligible to come back in week 5. Zach Moss you'll have as a starting running back for what? A couple weeks if Taylor doesn't get traded? So Zach Moss is worth an ad. Jaylen Warren. If you can add Jaylen Warren, rostered in 41% of Yahoo leagues, he's worth an ad. He looks better than Najee Harris right now. Devon A-Chain, worth an ad. The Speedster, he's someone worth an ad, rostered in 43% of Yahoo leagues. Again, there are other players to add. If Gus Edwards is still there, you can add him. He's going to be the primary back. We take a look at what Gus Edwards did. 10 attempts, 62 yards, and a touchdown. So he is someone that you want to add to. I have zero desire to add Justice Hill. I still think that's an absolute, and this is even saying Edwards had 1 fewer carry than Justice Hill in Baltimore's first game since J.K. Dobbins' Achilles went down for the season. But the former mustered 21 more rushing yards to lead the team, while Edwards was a non-factor in the passing game. 18 record to 54 games. Read all this stuff. I still think it's Gus Edwards over Justice Hill. If you want to add Justice Hill, you're more than welcome to. We've seen enough of a sample size, okay? We have enough of a sample size now with him being on this roster. Justice Hill has never gotten the start over Gus Edwards. Maybe Gus Edwards has just gotten older. It's possible. Maybe he just got older. Maybe he's just not as good. Maybe Justice Hill's with the ad. Fine. Other running backs that could be available. Again, if Tajay Spears is available, you go get him. And that will be that for now. So those are the running backs you want to go take a look at. If Kendre Miller is available, I would add him with Jamal Williams going down. Kendre Miller could have come back and could have started. But they they didn't start him. So Kendre Miller is a really talented rookie running back, and he is someone I will absolutely go at if you have the roster spot for him. Not a priority, but someone super talented for sure in deeper leagues. Let's take a look at the wide receivers. Nico Collins should be rostered in a lot of leagues. If Nico Collins is not rostered, you go add Nico Collins. Okay, in the league I'm in, he's rostered. Nico Collins is rostered in 62% of Yahoo leagues. You go ahead and go get Nico Collins. Tank Dell, if he's available, rostered in 6% of Yahoo leagues. He's worth the ad. Josh Reynolds rostered in 14% of Yahoo leagues. He's a short-term ad until Jameson Williams gets back. Josh Reynolds, worth the ad. Tutu Atwell, if he's still available, go at him. Romeo Doubs is only rostered in 50% of Yahoo leagues for reasons I don't quite understand. Go add Romeo Doubs. If someone dropped Christian Watson, that's a no-brainer. You make him the highest priority on the entire week unless you need one of those two running backs. Period. Yes, I'd prioritize Christian Watson over Tajay Spears. And the other big three running backs I talked about. Zach Charbonnet, Tank Bigsby, and Tajay Spears, the big three. I'd add Christian Watson over all of them. He's going to come back in and have an immediate role. Oh, who else? Let's see. Who else is nowhere near rostered enough? If Puka Nacua is somehow still crazily available in your league, he's the number one waiver wire ad. Rostered in 77% of leagues right now. Yahoo leagues anyway. If Puka Nacua is still there, you go at Puka Nacua. If you have spots for Kadarius Toney, go at him. Ooh, who else could be available? I'm not taking a shot on Peoples-Jones. Calvin Austin didn't do much. There really isn't much in the way of wide receivers to add. Jaden Reed rostered at 11% of Yahoo leagues. I'd take a shot on Jaden Reed. Apparently has looked really solid. But again, what's his role going to be when Watson comes back? He's had a decent amount of targets. The 2 touchdowns. This is what you got to keep in mind when you look at the box score. 8 targets, only 4 receptions for 37 yards. He caught 2 touchdowns. Without those 2 touchdowns, he doesn't have a good day fantasy-wise. He's up against the New Orleans defense next. Yikes. But then he gets Detroit. Again, just lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for the season. And the Raiders before a bye in week 6. Interesting so far. Like, he's someone to add. Marvin Mims Jr., if he's available, go at him. I don't know why he's available. I might put a waiver claim in for him. Marvin Mims rostered in 23% of leagues. Marvin Mims is someone I would take a chance on. Last week, and this week people might rush to add him, caught both of his targets for 113 yards. So 2 targets, 2 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown. He balled out. So please keep that in mind. Marvin Mims is talented. And there is a chance that Sutton might get traded at the deadline, or maybe it's Judy. Who knows? That's something to keep in mind. There really aren't that many other wide receivers I would sit there and add. It wasn't. I mean, the running backs are what's the focus on this week. Tight ends. People are going to continue to chase Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz apparently has had a resurgence and not a lot of fantasy points. 10 targets, 6 receptions for 21 yards. 8 targets for 6 receptions and 56 yards in week 2. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know, everyone. I just don't know what to do with Zach Ertz. I'm probably not going to add him. Trey McBride's still back there. They're going to probably so lead into each other. I just don't care. Josh Dobbs, with all due respect to him, he's still a quarterback. If Hunter Henry's still in your league, go at Hunter Henry. Hayden Hurst, I'd take shots on him. Saw 7 targets, 5 receptions for 41 yards and a touchdown in week 1 at Atlanta. Tight ends against the Saints are really difficult to begin with. So 3 targets, 3 receptions for 20 yards. Can't blame him there. Gets a matchup with Seattle next. Sam Laporta, if he's available in leagues, go at him. tight ends are tough, man. Tight ends are tough, everyone out there. Like, I'd be going to think about adding pretty much just focused on Hunter Henry, rostered in 56% of Yahoo leagues. And somehow if Tyler Higbee's still out there, go at him, rostered in 83% of Yahoo leagues. That's going to do it, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Sizzlin NFL DFS podcast special waiver wire edition. Charlie and I will be back this Friday to preview the Week 3 slate. But until then, I hope this all helps you out for your waivers. And stay tuned right here to Dads of Bacon. A lot of good content coming up tonight from other shows, so stay tuned for that. Until then, I'm Adam. I'll catch y'all later. Latest, peoples.